Jack Quaid is having a great year so far. First with Companion, now with Novocaine. It's unique, but also a bit silly, so should you see this in the cinema? When the girl of his dreams is kidnapped, a man incapable of feeling physical pain turns his rare condition into an unexpected advantage in the fight to rescue her. This also stars Amber Midthunder, Jacob Batalon, Nicholson, Betty Gabriel, and Matt Walsh, and it's an action comedy with a tiny bit of romance thrown in. Now the premise is straightforward. Nate Kane has this rare condition where he cannot feel any physical pain, and then he has a crush on his coworker Sherry, who's played by Midthunder. When the bank they both work at is robbed and Sherry is kidnapped, it becomes a race against the cops to find and rescue her. Jack Quaid is perfect for this role. Nate is meek and a very unexpected hero, and thanks to Quaid not being this bulked up guy, his smaller frame makes him very unassuming and underestimated. And Quaid's comedic timing mixes sarcasm with the responses of somebody who surprises themselves when they do something intensely violent. He's less snarky than his Huey character and much less angry, but the personas are still somewhat similar. So if you are a fan of his character in The Boys, you're going to enjoy him here. Now, I appreciate the exposition that we get on Nate's condition. While it's delivered within a conversation, it's brought on naturally, and also pointed out some things that I'd not even considered. I mean, when Nate mentions things that he has to avoid or pay attention to, they're like, duh, moments, but they also work to foreshadow what he could potentially face once all the action kicks into gear. This movie's going back to the storytelling style that films used to employ, where we get character development before thrusting them into conflict. Hard Eyes and The Gorge are two very recent films that also allowed us to get connected to the characters before they get tossed into something wild. And this approach really works to draw us to the characters. And because this is a mild romance, we need to be able to feel the spark between Nate and Sherry. And also, we want to root for them. Otherwise, the pursuit that comes later, it just doesn't pack the same punch. And I like the relationship between Quaid and Amber Midthunder. She's got an intense demeanor that translates to passion. They're dynamic together and have excellent chemistry, allowing their longing looks to fully convey the attraction between them. Midthunder gets to share in some of the action fun also, showing how she can be both vulnerable and vicious. Now the action here is gnarly, and it made me wince a few times. And there's one point towards the end where our entire theater audibly groaned. I mean, the violence was so brutal, it could make you a bit squeamish at times. That being said though, if you have seen the trailer, good gravy, we are shown so many of the action scenes. We may not have all of the moves of each sequence, but we're given way too much. I mean, I think the trailer shows almost the entirety of the kitchen fight. That was wildly disappointing because I wanted to be surprised and engaged in each of the setups, but since I'd seen so many of them, they lost their energy. Now, if you've not seen the trailer, just stay away from it and go in blind so that you can be surprised by all the various exchanges. Now, the film also uses slow-mo at a few times during action scenes, and seriously, why? Why are you including this? It didn't add anything to the story or the visuals. And it's not like the slow-mo is showcasing something novel or phenomenal. When we all saw bullet time in The Matrix for the first time, that slow-mo enhanced the revolutionary stylistics. In Novocaine, watching a knife twirl in the air slowly, it's uninteresting and very uncreative. So filmmakers, please stop using slow-mo unless you're actually adding to the storytelling. The story's a quick one, despite being close to 2 hours long. And once the kidnapping happens and the pursuit begins, the pace is non-stop with a growing urgency. And not only is Nate pursuing the kidnappers, but he's being pursued by the cops, who are played by Betty Gabriel and Matt Walsh. Now they're fine for what they're given, but they're generic detectives. Walsh is the jaded and sarcastic detective, while Gabriel is the smarter and intuitive investigator. I mean, they're fine as a team, but again, they're just run-of-the-mill coppers with no outstanding traits or qualities. Nicholson is oddly entertaining here. He's kooky and unbalanced. 1 minute giving off this threatening and violent vibe, and then in a blink does a 180 and is all nice and forgiving. And he plays it well, believably portraying a potential psycho. Now there's a lot to like in this movie. The characters are mainly endearing and fun to watch. I mean, the action is brutal and creatively nasty, and the story's engaging in a lighthearted way. There are a lot of plot conveniences built in, but this just allows the story to flow faster. And even though Nate can't feel pain, he's not immortal, so there is a fair amount of character protection that's given to him. What he endures really should end him multiple times, but he keeps going. That's not a complaint. I mean, I loved watching what he'd do next, allowing the story to creatively look at what a hero would do if they were impervious to pain. And there are several sequences that exploit this. Are they sometimes ridiculous? Absolutely, but they're still entertaining thanks to Quaid's reactions. Now, I think at times the story believes it is more clever than it really is. This didn't bother me much, just thanks to the way the actors deliver the scenes. When something supposedly unexpected is revealed, the character reactions distract from the obviousness of the plot point, and it keeps the scene from becoming cringy. I think if this didn't have such charismatic and dynamic personalities, it would quickly become just another unmemorable pursuit movie, having action for action's sake and losing out on telling an enthralling relationship-centric fight fest. This is exciting, fast-paced, bloody, and funny, creating an engaging and thrilling ride with endearing characters who are over the top at all the right times. With excellent character development and the patience to connect us to the players, Novocaine captures our hearts and then infuses a ton of adrenaline for a vicious chase through the city. Some plot points are more obvious than they should be, and some characters, like the detectives, are written to be generic and forgettable. And the use of slow-mo is an unnecessary visual crutch. But the storytelling is still energetic and filled with exhilarating fight choreography. This is one of those movies that will have a lot of rewatchability just thanks to the fun that it creates. There's sex, no nudity, a ton of profanity, and an immense amount of violence. I give Novocaine 3.5 out of 5 couches. So are there any crazy action films that you really enjoy, even if they aren't great movies? I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.